I have to be slightly careful tonight. I'm going to hurt my back a bit, but I shall live. I shall continue to live. So good evening. I trust you had a fruitful day. I do not say happy, though I'm sure it has been a very happy one. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and fully self-awakened one. So I thought these are my last two YouTubes. So I thought to spend them on the Buddha himself. And this particular discourse, number 67, at Catuma, it's a place in the Sakya country where he's from, shows us a little bit of tough love. So he wasn't always a huggy-wuggy, touchy-feely sort of person. So he was living at Catuma, and on that occasion, 500 monks headed by Venerable Sariputra and Venerable Moggallana, they were his two lieutenants, came to see the Blessed One. And while visiting, those monks exchanging greetings with the resident monks and were preparing resting places and putting away their bowls and outer robes, they were very loud and noisy. So the Blessed One said to Ananda, "Who are these noisy people?" It's almost like fishermen hauling fish. He's got hawking fish, but I think it should be hauling fish. So Ananda said to him, "Well, it's these 500 bhikkhus that have come with Sariputra and Moggallana." So he said, "Right, in my name, go and tell those monks to come and see me," in so many words. "Yes, Venerable Sir." So off they went, and these 500 monks turned up, and they went to the Blessed One, paying homage to him, sat to one side, and the Blessed One said, "Bhikkhus, why are you so loud and noisy? One should think you're fishermen hauling fish." And they said, "Well, we're part of the 500 bhikkhus headed by Sariputra and Moggallana who've come to see you, O Blessed One. And while we were visiting, of course, we were being greeted by resident monks." And the Buddha said, "Fine," he said, "go, bhikkhus, I dismiss you. You cannot live with me." That's a bit sharp, isn't it? I mean, they've come a long way to see him, and they made a bit of a noise, and he's chucked them out. "Yes, Venerable Sir," they said, very meekly, I suppose. And they rose, paid homage, and off they went. They had to get all their stuff and move out. Now, on that occasion, the Sakyans of Catuma had met together in the assembly hall for some business or other. And seeing the monks coming in a distance, they went to them and asked, what's going on?" "Friends, the Sangha of Bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One. He sent us away." Oh, then they said, "Well, look, stay here, be seated, and we will go and restore his confidence." So these very good Sakyans, who were obviously of the same group as the Buddha, his tribe, whatever you want to call it, went to see him. And they said, "Blessed One, let the Blessed One delight in the Sangha of monks. Welcome the Sangha of monks. Show compassion towards the Sangha, as he used to show compassion towards it in the past. These are new bhikkhus just gone forth, recently come to the Dharma and discipline. If they get no opportunities to see the Blessed One, there may take place in him some change or alteration," which means for the worse, of course. They might give up, they might go to another teacher. "Just as when young seedlings get no water, they may take place in them some change or alteration. Just as when a young calf does not see its mother, there may take in it some change or alteration." So they're telling the Buddha to please, forgive the bhikkhus, get them back, just in case they go off. Now, at the same time, Brahma Sahampati, he's the god who turned up when the Buddha was fully liberated. And when he sat there wondering whether he should tell anybody about this or not, wondering whether anybody would actually understand what he had to teach. And it was this Brahma, this great god, who came down and said, well, there are some who've got a little dust in their eyes. And that's when he thought about his past teachers. And then he thought about the 5 companions whom he'd left. And his teachings began on the prompting of Brahma Sahampati. So this was such an occasion that the Brahma thought that he ought to go down and have a chat. So he appeared before the Buddha, and of course he says exactly the same thing as the Sakyams did. The Sakyams of Catuma and Brahma Sahampati were able to restore the Buddha's confidence with the similes of the seedlings and the young calf. So Moggallana said, get up, friends, take your bowls and outer robes. The Blessed One's confidence has been restored, and we're going back to see him. So off they went, and when they'd done so, when they paying respects, the Buddha said to Venerable Sariputta, what did you think, Sariputta, when the Sangha of Bhikkhus was dismissed by me? What did you do? Venerable Sir, I sought thus. The Sangha of Bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One. The Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to pleasant abiding here and now. And we too shall now abide inactive, devoted to pleasant abiding here and now. In other words, meditation. Stop, Sariputta, stop. No, 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 don't think that way. Such a thought should not be entertained by you again. And then he turned to Moggallana and said, what did you think, Moggallana? And Moggallana said, Venerable Sir, I thought this way. The Sangha of Bhikkhus has been dismissed by the Blessed One. The Blessed One will now abide inactive, devoted to the pleasant abiding here and now. Now, Venerable Sariputta and I shall lead the Sangha of Bhikkhus. Good, good, well said, Moggallana. Either I shall lead the Sangha, or else Sariputta and Moggallana shall lead it. So here we see that the Buddha had in mind that these 2 younger persons than him, I think they would have been maybe 10 or so years younger, would have led the Sangha after he died. But unfortunately, they both died before him. Sariputta died at home. He went back to see his family. And Moggallana, it seems, was attacked and murdered by another set of ascetics because he was converting their people, which is a bit sad, isn't it? Dangerous to be a monk in those times. So the Blessed One then got them together, and he spoke to them. He said, look, he said, there are 4 kinds of fears to be expected by one who goes down to the water. Now, what are the 4? Fear of waves, fear of crocodiles, fear of whirlpools, and fear of sharks. And 4 kinds of fetters are to be expected by certain persons who've gone forth from home to homelessness. Now, of course, these fetters work just as much for anybody living an ordinary lay life. But what is the fear of waves? So somebody has gone forth from the home life, driven by aging sickness, thoughts of aging sickness and death, despair and all that. And after he's gone forth, his companions in the holy life advise and instruct him thus: you should move to and fro in this way. You should look ahead and look away this way. You should flex and extend your limbs this way. You should wear your patched cloak and bow and robes this way. And then the person says to himself, well, formerly when we were lay people, we advised and instructed others. And now these bhikkhus who seem like they might be our sons or grandsons think that they can advise and instruct us. So they forsake the training and revert to the lay life. He is called one who's forsaken the training and reverted, frightened by the fear of waves. Waves is a term for angry despair. So they'd gone despairing about life and hoping to get some training, and they just couldn't take the training. Basically, they just wanted to do it their way, and so they left back into their angry despair. They were despairing before, but now they're angry as well. Now, what is the fear of crocodiles? So again, people joined the order, and his companions in the holy life advise and instruct him. This can be consumed by you. This cannot be consumed by you. This can be eaten by you. This cannot be eaten by you. This can be tasted by you. This cannot be tasted. This can be drunk. This cannot be drunk. You can consume what is allowable. You cannot consume what is not allowable. You can eat what is allowable. You cannot eat what is not allowable. You can taste what is allowable, but you cannot taste what is not allowable. You can drink what is allowable, but you cannot drink what is not allowable. You can consume food within the proper time. You cannot consume food outside the proper time. You can eat within the proper time. You cannot eat outside the proper time. You can taste the food within, and so on and so forth. And these new monks think to themselves, well, when we were lay people, we consumed what we liked, and we did not consume what we did not like. We ate what we liked and did not eat what we didn't like, tasted what we liked, and so on and so forth. You see, it seems these monks put a muzzle on our mouths, and so of course they revert to the lay life. Here it's got low life, but the Buddha sees. Remember, when the Buddha talks about the low life or the lay life, he's usually meaning the indulgence in the sense pleasures, which of course, as a layperson, you don't have to be like that. But that's what it's referring to. Now, such a person is one who is forsaken and training and reverted, frightened by the fear of crocodiles. Crocodiles is the term for gluttony. Yes. Now, there's the fear of whirlpools. So again, somebody's come away with grief and despair and all that. And then after he's gone forth, when it is morning, he dresses, takes his bowl, and goes into a village or town with for alms with food unguarded, his speech unguarded, with mindfulness unestablished, and with sense faculties unrestrained. And he sees some householder there, or householder's son, furnished and endowed with the 5 chords of sensual pleasure, enjoying themselves. And he considers, well, formerly, when I was, in the home life, we were furnished and endowed with the 5 chords of sensual pleasure. We enjoyed ourselves. My family has wealth. I can both enjoy wealth and make merit. And so, because of this, they leave the monastic life, and it is because they are frightened by the fear of whirlpools. Whirlpools is a term for the 5 sensual pleasures. So remember, the Buddha in the scriptures, usually when he's talking about the lay life, or the low life rather than the lay life, I shouldn't have said lay, the low life, he's talking about a life devoted to sensual pleasure. Now, what is the fear of sharks? Again, people have gone forth, these men have gone forth, they've become monastics. And then again, they've dressed and gone in with the robe and bowl, they've gone into the village for alms. The body was unguarded, the speech unguarded, mindfulness unestablished, and with sense faculties unrestrained. He sees a woman with light clothed, lightly dressed. And when he sees such a woman, lust infects his mind. And because his mind is infected by lust, he forsakes the training and reverts to the low life. Frightened by the fear of sharks. Now, sharks is the term for women. Now, before the women start throwing brickbats, remember, he's talking about the mind of the monk. Remember that we are creating our own worlds. And when we see somebody whom we are sexually attracted to, then that is something that we are creating within ourselves, and it's our response of lust, which is the problem. So he doesn't mean, of course, that women are sharks. And of course, if he were talking to nuns, it would have been the men who were sharks. I'm an apologist for the Buddha, you see. So these are the 4 kinds of fears to be expected by certain persons who've gone forth from the home life into homelessness in this Dharma and discipline. And of course, all these things are applicable to everybody who's on the spiritual path. So if you're on a spiritual path, then obviously there are angry despair. Where are we? The waves, angry despair, gluttony, devoted just to sensual pleasure. And of course, the biggest, the most attractive of all sensual pleasures is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we have to keep guarded against such things, obviously. And I'm sure you're all adepts at being guarded from such things, and that by your continued practice and devotion, you will achieve full liberation from all suffering sooner rather than later. So we can do some practice.